Episode number 28 of Women Who Lead. And we are so excited that you've joined us today. And we are featuring successful women who have taken the leap from being agents to owning their own companies. And I think with the goal, right, of leaving a legacy behind that they could be proud of. Hello, everyone. My name is Theresa Palacio Smith, and I'm Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America and HSF affiliates. And I'm so glad you're able to join us today for un cafecito, right? So that you get the opportunity to learn from these risk takers. So as agents, right, they've all developed the systems and customer service skills to succeed in the highly competitive real estate markets they serve. But now they're managing, recruiting, training, and leading their companies with the vision of offering the highest level of service to their customers and to create homeownership opportunities for all. I love this quote from Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx, and she's here in Atlanta. And that is embrace what you don't know. So Gina, embrace what you don't know, especially in the beginning, because what you don't know can become your greatest asset. It ensures that you're going to absolutely be doing things different from everybody else. Don't you love that quote? I think it's so good. So let's get to know our panelists. And with me today, I have Navana Hart. So Navana is the owner of Real Living Cornerstone, which is a woman-owned franchise with 2 office locations in Virginia and 1 in Farmville. And the other newest office is in the Richmond market. Navana has a bachelor's degree from James Madison University and has over 25 years of experience in real estate and is a passionate advocate for both her clients and agents. And her company's motto, I love it, emphasizes that they're the home of lifestyle advisors, serving their clients with dignity and helping them with achieving their important lifestyle milestones. I just think that's great. And I have to tell you, Alan Dalton wanted to make sure I said this to the world, that you're one of his favorites individuals within the Real Living Network. He just adores you and you are one of his favorites. So, and I remember the very first time I met you, Navana, it was at a Real Living event. And I just fell in love with your passion and your spunk, so I think that's part of who you are. Diana Fuentes. So Diana is the co-owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Action Realtors. It is also a woman-owned business located in the heart of Dallas. Although Diana knew from a very young age that her goals would be in business, never did she dream that she would be in real estate, right, as her career. And she was born in a small town in Tamaulipas, Mexico, where no real estate brokerage firms were located. And her parents actually bought their first home after many years of renting, which is the story of many Latinos in our country, right? And her mom had to do the home search herself and negotiate the seller without any assistance, which I think is the reason Deanna got into the business to begin with. She's flourished without any sort of marketing, simply relying on referrals from friends, family, and previous customers. And I really love that. And I remember the first time I met Deanna, it was actually at a Berkshire Hathaway Home Services conference. That was back in 2014. I don't know if you remember that. And that day we formed an instant friendship. I told Deanna she needed to become part of NARA. I was the incoming president for the national organization. And not only did Deanna take me on my word, she actually started the Plano chapter, the Plano, Texas Garland chapter with several other folks, and then became their chapter president in 2019. I was honored to be at her induction ceremonies. And then Gina Styler. Gina is the newest member of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services family, because she just joined us in July. So she's learning a lot. And her company is Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Brick and Mortar Real Estate, and it's located in Ellensburg, Washington. And Gina has over 9 years of experience in real estate, and many describe her as a high achiever and motivated to grow an organization dedicated to creating a tailored experience for clients. And I remember, Gina, the minute that you were thinking about joining us, Troy Ryerson was so excited about having you come on board. He said she is a dynamo. And so we are so excited to have you. And of course, Maria Ward and Renee Shepard have said the same about you. So it's really great to have all of you on the show. So let's get started. And I usually will ask everyone the same question, because I think it's really important to know How did you all come into real estate as your career? So Nirvana, I'm going to start with you with that question, and then Gina, and then Deanna.
So I used to sell food for a living, and I was pretty good actually. I was young and didn't understand what no meant, and when chefs told me to go away, I'd come back. I was naive and thought that I just had to keep telling them about what I had to sell, and got very good and really, really had a good time selling food. And I got pregnant, and it was kind of like I'm pregnant and I'm selling food, and I was in the men's industry, and um, I realized that they weren't paying me the same that they were paying a couple of the men, and so tried to put my foot down and like have some influence in that, and it didn't work. And so I made a big, huge, bold move and said, hey, I'm going to quit this and I'm going to do real estate. And we did that. And I really thought that they would come back and try to like kind of fight for me and get me back. And instead, they hired several men to replace me and started lots of territories for these men. And I knew then that I had done the right thing. And so I got my real estate license. And although a lot of people were like, oh, you're going to be poor, and not we were, because he was making really good money and it took a while, I'm really glad that I made the leap. And it was a great job to have as a mom in the beginning. You know, and that's kind of what it was in the very beginning. It was a job, and then it grew into a lifestyle and a career. And then it was everything after a bit of time.
Oh, I love that. And you actually, that they had to have, I think, 5 guys to replace your, that's why you've done so well. You've persevered and you've got that stay on attitude that is really important in our industry. How about you, Gina? Tell us a little bit about how you got into the business.
Sure. Yeah. So I graduated with a bachelor's in psychology and sociology, and was kind of on track to be a school counselor following my grandmother's footsteps. And I was on that path and trying to figure all of that out. And then just kind of stumbled across a real estate company that was looking to hire on new real estate agents. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. So literally just started brand new and found that real estate really like took my passion for helping people, but also being able to be creative. I'd grown up painting and designing houses with my mom. And so all of these like things that I'd been doing kind of helped build on this new desire and career.
Well, and there's no doubt that having psychology as your background has really helped you, because it is a psychological process, right? Going through and that first home purchase for many people, it is a traumatic experience, and we make it better, but it's the biggest expense that somebody's going to have in their life. So you have to take it very seriously. So I'm sure that it's really helped.
Oh yeah.
Say that we are social workers as well as helping somebody through the process. How about you, Dan? And I have to give you also, as we look and kick off September 15th, Hispanic Heritage Month. I know that you are a Latina like me, and so very excited to have you and also kick off. And your story is a little unique as well, and I love hearing how you got into the business.
Yes, thank you, Theresa. And yes, I was born in Mexico, in a place that were no real estate firms. And so I got married and I moved to Dallas. And my husband had in mind, and that's the way that he convinced my dad to so I could marry him. He said, the first year we're going to buy our house. So we purchased a new construction. And after a couple of months, my husband's business was not going very well, and he had some health issues. So the realtor that sold the house that we used to purchase the new construction moved next door. And then I told her that I was looking for a job, and she said she was looking for an assistant. And I was glad to go and talk to her, knock on her door. And she was a top producer. She was the top producer of the company that I'm, currently the owner. And I learned a lot from her. And that's the way I got into real estate.
And what a great thing, because you've helped so many Latina families buy their first home. And I think that's such a great honor. So all of you, tell me a little bit about making that leap, right? How did you decide, you know what, I really want to own my own company, which is a big risk, right? In doing that. And I'm going to start with you, Nirvana, and then Gina, and then Deanna.
So we moved to the country and bought a big farmhouse with 22 acres. I'm a dreamer, by the way. So like, give me a dream and I'll go live it and breathe it and live it. Um, and realized that the local matching firm that I worked for in Northern Virginia didn't wish to have me work here. And so I was like, oh, I've made a mistake. So then I can continue to commute to my previous firm, which was 3 hours one way. And I would get up at 4:30 in the morning and go and work all day in Northern Virginia and come home at night, or occasionally I would crash at a friend's house. And I had small children. My husband, fortunately, he was the primary caregiver of the kids. So we had a really good balance thing there. But I commuted for 5+ years to Northern Virginia. And my family just kind of said, you know, we either need to move back or you need to move here. And working for a local firm, I tried, but it didn't work. And that's a whole nother story, a whole nother podcast. But so I was like, you know what, I'll just build a company, but why not? I mean, I think I was grandiose ideas. I'm like, why not do this thing? And then I reached out and Real Living actually gave me feet and said, sure, we can help you do this. And we love women owners and let's roll. And they onboarded me and made me feel like I was capable and confident and able to do this. And so, yeah, I mean, so it was out of necessity. It was never something I ever dreamed of. And when I did it so I would have a place to work in my new hometown. And so I did. I created a really wonderful place for me to work. And then
that's you found a place that you needed, that they needed your skill sets. And I love that. And of course, you've grown your company, which is really nice. And I know for you, Gina, that's also how you decided, you know, I really want my own type of company. So talk about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is being a local here. I was born and raised, and so I'm a third generation Owensburg individual. And so it's been really fun just getting to live and work in the area that I'm raising my own kids and that I grew up in. But what I really found is that I was building this brand that was just different. It was different than what other people were doing. And it was something that I wanted to do that was more of like full service and bringing kind of that luxurious experience and giving people truly that experience that I think I just didn't see as much here. And so as I did that, I became one of the top producers in the county. And from there, just naturally kind of looked and said, you know, what's my next step? And so my husband and I, we talked, and it was just, you know, maybe ownership really is kind of the next step, and we can build a team and really influence real estate and kind of change how that looks and feels, and grow a team to help other agents do the same.
And you're going to skyrocket. I just feel it. It's going to be a great, you know, achievement for you. And I think you have, you know, hit it with us, with our brand. I think the luxury brand really does help. As well as with the lifestyle, you know, that you've selected. How about you, Deanna?
Okay, well, I kept growing into the company. I was the assistant for the top producer, and then I decided to get my real estate license. So I became one of the top producers for the company. So the current owner at that time offered me the opportunity to be her partner. And at that time, my husband had an accident. He was kind of like disabled. I have 4 kids already, 2 teenagers, and, you know, my girls were, you know, 8 years old and 11 years old. So at that time, it was a difficult decision because I had in mind that I wanted to have my own company, but going through the family situation, it was like, maybe it's not the time. But I remember getting my family to a restaurant, and while we were having dinner, I told them that I had the opportunity, and they all support me, you know, and that's what I decided to become part of.
And I love it. You're a sisterhood and you are women owned. There's 3 of you, and that, you know, having that, you know, shared responsibilities, I think, also relieves you, right? When you have more than one person. And Deanna, what a great story to start out as an assistant, not having a real estate license, to now being an owner of a Berkshire Hathaway Home Services brand. That's a pretty impressive endeavor. So congratulations. So let's talk about, and Gina, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about, because tell me what attracted you to our brand, to the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services family. What was it that you thought was, the magic sauce for you to join our group?
Yeah. I looked around and really just couldn't find something that I felt fit what I was already doing, and what I wanted to do in the future. And then came across Berkshire Hathaway and was just blown away by it, really, and felt like it really took real estate and elevated it and gave it that luxury experience, but also yet being very approachable and accessible to the public. And it didn't feel so standoffish for, it really is something that anybody can be a part of as far as clientele goes.
I so agree with you, that approachability, because, you think about Warren Buffett, he's the, wealthiest blue collar worker. I mean, he started with that blue collar mentality, right? So anyone can be part of our brand, whether you're a first time home buyer,
right,
or buying that luxury home or that ultra luxury, which we have too at Real Living, which is part of the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services family. And I love it. And I love absolutely. That Alan Dalton has created that whole, formula for success. So I know that 2022 is going to be different than our past experiences. We did change, right, the way we did business. So Nirvana and Deanna, how are you planning, or some things that you're looking at as you look at 2022 and planning business wise?
I'll go first. So I have a coach who's helping me be very deliberate with goals in regards to growth. And I think I'm a salesperson inside of my company. And so there's a lot of roles that I have and a lot of hats that I wear, and it gets real easy to just get busy and not growth oriented. And so I've taken a real deliberate step this year to make sure that growth is the focus, and that 2022 is going to be a growth year. That's
fantastic. I love it. And one thing that all of you have in common, just so you know, is that all of you actually sell real estate. So each one of you has the responsibility of not only selling real estate, but operating a company. So it's a different dynamic, right, Deanna? So how are you looking at 2022?
Yes, Theresa. So basically, according to the NAREB reports, the Hispanic homeownership have been increasing for the last 5 years. And what I'm working on is hiring more real estate professionals that mirror our clients. And also we want to optimize our social media with, the content to the right audience, and also keep watching the market trends, because, we're in a market that, some months have been changing and fluctuating. So that's what we're working on.
And they're estimating that in 2022 things might normalize a little bit more, right? Versus these, outrageous bidding wars that we've seen in the past, which is great. I always say, it's getting back to where it needs to be, and that's really always great, because it gives the opportunity, as you stated, Deanna, to allow more people to actually live the dream of buying a home and home ownership. Because at this point, it's really difficult, especially for people that are getting loans, right? You've got more people and investors buying these homes cash out, right? And that's really difficult for those first-time home buyers that really have to count on their lending, right? Getting a loan to be able to do that, and veterans as well. So let's move on to personal. I really want to hear more about your personal experiences. And Nirvana, you've already even mentioned the fact that you've hired a coach. And I think that's really interesting, because a lot of people don't realize the advantages that has, in your own business, is having someone that kind of holds you accountable. And also can help you. So tell me about that whole process. Do you have a mentor as well? And how does that work for you? And when did you hire somebody, and would you recommend it for others?
So I've always used people in my life as mentors, basically. So I've always looked, and I love finding inspiration in people who are close to me. I like to find leaders, and then I like to listen to what they're doing. So I use a lot of people inside of my life. And I've had some really great people that have made distinct impressions on me along the way from a mentorship perspective. And I'm a overall generally a positive person. Like, so overall, I like to try to find the positive in life, and I try to have the high energy inside of a room, and I try to be that person. But I think that coming with that creativity and with that energy comes a little bit of ADD and a little bit of non-focus and a little bit of issue and direction. And so understanding my weaknesses and realizing that I needed to be held accountable, I leaned in and said, okay, I need a coach, and wished I had done it a long time ago, honestly. Wished I had hired somebody in the very beginning to help me learn how to recruit and how to do some things that I clearly just didn't know, because I'm a great salesperson, but I wasn't necessarily a great manager. And I think mostly it's just about wrangling me. Like, I need somebody who says, hold on, whoa, breathe. What are you doing? And why are you doing that? And why did you say yes to that? And what are your roles? And so it's been really helpful for me just from a breathability perspective. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's great advice. Anyone else want to pipe in? Anyone else have a coach, or who do you have a mentor, someone that inspires you?
Okay, so yes, I think it's important to have a coach, and that's what we encourage our agents whenever they get, more acquainted to the real estate career. So yes, I had Tom Ferry and some other coaches and some mentors like you, Theresa. So thank you for your life.
Oh, thank you so much. One of the things I will tell you is that I've always had leaders that I've looked up to, people that really have mentored me as well, right? But I really think that the advantage is the people that are part of our team. You've got Gina Styler, who's such an advocate, who sets that accountability from the very beginning. And if you've never had him speak at your organization about the accountability, wigs, everything he does, it really has set the pace for me to get me organized, because I'm like you, Nirvana. I'm like all over the place, right? And then also Alan Dalton. I mean, he's another person that inspires me. I talk to him on a weekly basis, and he calms me down and gets me in, in the right mindset that I need to be. So it's great to have those leaders, those individuals that really help us and keep us aligned. Yes. Now let's talk about discrimination, because I know, sometimes as women, as owners, as agents, have you experienced that? And it sounds like, Nirvana, you've had a little bit of that even in your past work in the food industry, and then not finding the right place at home here, right? Where you could fit in, right? Where you could be part of a company and have to start your own company. Anyone else has had that experience, or, anyone else want to talk about that?
Yeah, for me, mine was probably more the fact that I'm a woman, but also I was a very young woman. I started in real estate when I was 22. And so being up against people who were, much older than me, have a lot more experience than me. And because we are more of a farming town, maybe they had like that farming experience that I didn't have. And so just being able to kind of work through that and really push through that with some, grit and determination, been able to get where I am today.
I love it. It's so true, right? Even as a young person, you still look like you're 22, by the way, but having that, having people, that credibility factor, right? No matter what age you are, where, your origins, because, we all experience that. And I love hearing that you were able to overcome, right? Which is really important. How about you, Nirvana?
I was going to say, I think also that for me, I found that people want to know if my husband's part of the ownership. Is my husband involved? And I'm like, no, it's just me.
And see, that's great, to have the confidence and fortitude to be able to say, hey, I'm the owner. I run the company. It's really my decision. And, it's what I do, right, for a business. And I know, Deanna, for you as well, it's great to hear that. Any other feedback for you, Deanna, being Latina, Mexican, has that affected you?
It was difficult at the beginning. I'm going to be honest. I had just moved from Mexico, and I had taken some English classes. I spent 1 year studying ESL in the United States, but when I came back, my English wasn't that great. So at the beginning, working in the office with, all these people that speak great English, so that have been in the United States, before, or more years than I was at that time, because our office was very diverse 17 years ago. So anyway, I felt it a little bit like, because of the language, but I think I show with my hard work that I was able to accomplish whatever I put my mind into it.
Well, and I love too that you have now that bilingual capability that so many people don't have, right? You're able to serve so many customers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about good decisions, bad decisions, because we've all done them or made them. So Gina, what's the best or worst decision you've ever made that you'd like to share with the audience so they can learn from you?
Sure. Yeah. I would say risk taking has been some of the best decisions I've made. Just kind of taking the leap, whether it be different ways of advertising or just, really putting myself out there for, listing appointments or stepping into a zone maybe I'm not as familiar with in the market, and just really just pushing through it and educating myself and kind of just taking that step. Risk taking has really paid off. And I think it's an important piece for growth too.
It really is. And I am risk averse. I wish I wasn't. I'm like, every time I have to just, no, I'm going to do it. No, I'm so scared. No, I'm going to do it. So I'm one of those people that's really always nervous, but I see the success of all the women that are around me. And that's really helped me, honestly, has helped me take more risk personally. So I actually am inspired by all of you. And that's what I hope we accomplish with this. Nirvana, how about you?
I think for me, one of my things is that I entered as a unified front with my husband, and we designed our life around just being unified, and that I had the breadwinning and I was the one who had the company and he took care of the family, and we came back together at the end of the day. I would say that's my greatest thing when it comes to that. And it's given me the freedom to be able to be me here inside of the office, because I haven't been conflicted with needing to be home at 3:00 or needing to do this at 2:00. Like, I chose that a lot, but it wasn't a conflict. Like, I never had that conflict that a lot of women in the workforce have. I knew that this was my role and this is where I needed to be, and that what I was doing was where I was supposed to be. So that's been the thing that I think has been, like, I wish I could say I was a risk taker like Gina, but I think through things, like, for so much, like, I don't even know if that can count as risk. I think from the outside looking in, it might look like risk, but like, I am in awe of people who say, I'm just going to do this, because I'm like, oh, I got to think about that. So
first of all, the courage that it took is unbelievable, and the fact that this was not commonplace, because you've been in the business 27 years, right? So this was not normal, right? You see that now today is more of a normal. You see, like, Sheryl Sandberg and, those roles,
right.
But those are newer things that people
Right.
are doing. So I commend you for that. I think it took a lot of guts and, certainly spunk, like I said, and you have it all. So how about you, Deanna? Anything else that you want to add?
Definitely a risk taker. I'm a risk taker, and I just took another risk. I purchased 4 acres, and I'm gonna develop those 4 acres. So it's a huge risk. So definitely, I'm a risk taker.
That's great. That's great. And we've got so many people that can guide you through that process within our organization. So Deanna, good for you. I love it. So tell me, what are you all most proud of? Like, what is the most proud or biggest accomplishment you feel, that you've gotten and so far in your career, because y'all are early in your careers so far? Nirvana, I'll start with you, Deanna, and then Gina.
I actually just think it's pretty cool that I own an office, and now I own 2. Like, I think that's just, I step back sometimes and go, I really did do this. Like, it's amazing in the grand scheme of things that I'm capable of doing this. And I think it makes me happy. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, cool. This is what I did.
And it's a great size office. It's right, quaint, beautiful location, everything, Nirvana. I have to tell you, I have to agree with you. What a great accomplishment that you have with that.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud.
Deanna?
Yes. So I think taking this trip of ownership has helped me help others that in their mind were thinking they were not able to get a real estate license, or they were not able to be top producers, but inspiring them and seeing the results has been great. So helping others achieve their dreams, and not only for them, but for their families and for a better lifestyle.
You are living that can-do attitude. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things for NARP, for those of you who are members, is we live the 10 principles, right? The NARP 10. And there are 10 principles, and part of it is giving back. Part of it is really creating wealth for others. And that's really the whole idea. And homeownership does it. I mean, it really does it for all of us. So I think you definitely are, someone that I'm very, very proud to know. Gina?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's the feedback and the referrals that I continue to get from just the business that I'm doing, and seeing clients, refer their friends and family and trust them to me it kind of is what keeps me going, and really makes me feel proud of what I'm doing and what our team's doing. And I actually even hired an office administrator that was a past client of mine, and she wanted to join our team. And so it's just been so fun to see just what we're doing and what we're creating here. People want to be a part of it, and they want to send their people to us, and they trust us for that. And so that makes me feel so proud. Oh,
you should be. So talking about, because each of you have, and all women, I think, have a superpower, right? We all do so much. We do, we're very involved in a lot of things. So what is your superpower? And being that I love Wonder Woman, that's my cultural hero, a Latina. A lot of people don't realize that. So Gina, how about you? Let's start with you. What's your superpower?
I don't know if it's a superpower, but I can multitask like no other. And I have a great memory. My husband always jokes with me that I've got an elephant brain. Like, I just remember everything. I remember houses from, 6 years ago and things like that. And so I guess those are probably my two biggest strengths.
Very big, especially in our industry, right?
Yeah.
To have that memory of people and things and homes and when they sold and what their past history was. What a great superpower. How about you, Diana?
I think, Theresa, my clients define me as patient. So I think that's my superpower. Not only patient with, having patience with them, holding their hand through the process, but also with our agents, not showing any frustration through the process of training and not seeing results so quickly. So also being patient in obtaining my goals. So I think that's my superpower.
Great one. Patience is big. I don't have it. So it's a big one for, I love it. How about you, Nirvana?
So it's funny. I tell everybody that my superpower is I'm able to fix problems. And sometimes that's frustrating because I'm like, I don't want to have to do this. Oh, darn it. I'm going to do it. And I'm good at it. I also think that I'm passionate. So that also brings a lot to the table. So I think I give a whole lot to everything. So I think that's good. I think we have a lot of superpowers as women. I think it's hard to just say, oh, here's my one superpower. I think it's...
No, but absolutely right. There's so many, right? And I think sometimes we fail to acknowledge that it is a superpower. And I think it really does. I mean, the fact that you're able to multitask, not everyone can do that. Like, it's really difficult, especially for men in general. And I don't want to stereotype, but there is an innate ability that we have to do that really helps us with being able to accomplish a lot more than we do in one day, right, than most people can. So Gina, I totally agree with that one, and with all of yours as well. Now, let's talk about challenges, because we've all had them. And I think it's really good that people see you and they think, oh my God, they're so successful. They've never failed at anything. And I think it's important to people to know that really it is a challenge. You don't get it there overnight. There are things that you have to do that you learn from that you wish you would have done differently. So let's talk about that. Gina, I'm going to start with you. What is something that you have had a challenge over, you wish you'd done differently, or advice that you could give someone that you've learned from?
Sure. I think it's one that I'm actually still working towards, and probably always will be, but just the balance of work, life, family, vacation, just all of those things, just trying to get that balance right. Because being an owner, and even just being an agent, you're kind of always on call, and people need things when they need them, and it's very time sensitive. And so working towards what that balance looks like I said, still in process, but that's definitely a huge challenge in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so challenging the younger, like when you've got younger kids, right? You'll find that in general, once they grow out, they grow up, and it gives you more time to do the things that you need to get done. How about you, Deanna?
Yeah, definitely balance, because I have a big family. I still sell real estate. I do the training. I also volunteer for NAREP. So definitely balance has been difficult. Sometimes it's like, okay, am I doing the right thing? Should I quit doing this and that? And so there's some days that I said, well, I have to stay home with my family. So it's hard. It's hard being a woman, being business owner, and but definitely balancing the life.
Wow, another balance. How about you, Nirvana?
It's funny. Mine is balanced also. Mine is a little different because, as you grow and as you've been in the business longer, like mine used to be Gina, it used to be family. And then I figured that all out. I think I did a pretty good job. And then like you, Deanna, I used to volunteer. I still do. And I had to figure that out. Mine now is trying to figure out the balance between recruiting and training agents and selling, and making that, because the agents are for the future and selling is so that I can pay for now. So it's that whole balance, and figure out the right measurement of time and assets for each so that I do it correctly. So it's a challenge.
It really, I can only imagine how difficult it can be to be able to balance that and figure out, how do I do it where it's profitable for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that you're in the right track of making sure that you're training the agents so that they can help you, right? And you can grow your company. And therefore, so many agents do it where they become owners, and then they actually say, hey, I'm going to run the company now. And it really is beneficial for me to do that, because that's really how I'm going to earn more for everyone, right? And I have to tell you, the hardest thing to do is say no, but sometimes you have to do it. I think that helps with the balance. Is no, I'm not going to be able to do that this time. I wish I could, but because of this. And that's really difficult for all of us to do. I think that sometimes we have challenges of saying no. But somebody said to me, try it. Just do one, once a month, say no and see how it works out. And then it gets easier to say no, right? So what advice would you, and we're almost out of time. Can you believe that? We've had so much fun. So what advice do you wish someone had given you years ago that would have helped you in your leadership pursuits? Anyone that wants to kind of pipe in?
I'll start.
You start, Nirvana. I love it.
I'll start.
There you go.
I wish that somebody had helped me with the things I didn't know. So there's always this thing when you own a company or you're running a company that I call the 10% rule, and that 10% stuff took 50% of my time. And it was crazy and ridiculous how much time it took. And I think that when you start, first you try to do everything. And I think I wish that honestly wish I'd hired somebody to help recruit a management type position, because I wouldn't be where I am today. I would be astronomically better if I had gone in early and had people who were skilled to help me and to take care of me. And the same thing with my team and the people who work for me. I didn't pay a lot in the beginning because I didn't have a lot to pay. And then in hindsight, I really wished I had just kind of jumped in, because then I would have had people who would have been with me for 10 years and 15 years. And that's important, and it's valuable to have that baseline. So it's scary when you're doing this. It's scary to own a company. It's scary to start something. And I think that the primary thing is just, where you don't know what you're doing, is to ask, seek help, look for resources. And I think you don't have to be a maverick. You don't have to do it all by yourself. And I tried to do it all by myself, and I wish I had not, truthfully.
And what great advice you're giving to others. And I think that's really going to be helpful to those that are listening, and to Gina too, right? Who's newer to this, to this whole opportunity. Anyone else? How about you, Deanna?
I think making the decisions faster, because sometimes you want to see everything or 100% perfect in order to take that decision or make that decision. So I think it's something that I learned after through an article that, I mean, 70% it's okay, and move forward with that decision. So that's something that I wish someone had told me when I became business owner. Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic. Gina?
Yeah, I was going to say, enjoying the journey as much as the destination, that quote, it's so true. Is we get so caught up in, trying to get the next thing done, or the final thing done, that you're not enjoying kind of the ride that you're on. And so every day I really try and intentionally think about, okay, this is part of the journey. Today is building of the future. So let's enjoy this part of it too. And that's really hard to do. And so I think I'm just trying to remind myself, and so remind everyone else too, same thing, just enjoy it.
Oh, that's a great advice, because we often just go through life, and then you realize, oh my God, that was such a precious moment. Or
Right.
You'll look at a photo and you're like, I didn't even notice, this, or, that certainly is certainly great advice and wise words. So let's end it with any last comment, any words, books or quotes that resonate with you that you would love to share with the audience, specifically. So, Gina, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Yeah. One of the quotes that really stuck with me in this whole journey of becoming an owner, and has really been kind of our motto, is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And so that's really just been kind of something we've just really embraced and really tried to push through with, is just creating our own future.
That's a great one. I love it. Deanna?
Something that I learned from my mom, because when I was little, my mom used to ask me to go to the dining table and, hey, you're going to listen what I'm going to read to you. So it's change your thoughts and change your world. So,
Oh, that's great one.
Norman Vincent Peale.
It's fantastic. That's one of Gina's favorite authors too. Nirvana?
Oh, I didn't come with a quote. So my recommendation is that I think every person needs to read The Richest Man in Babylon. It is what it was given to me when I was in college by an uncle, and he had highlighted it and underlined it, and I've given it to so many people, because I think when you're in business for yourself, you forget to pay yourself, and paying myself and saving money is what created an environment where I was able to still be here after 2020, and where I was able to be here after 9/11, and where I was able to be here. So I think it's really important, because our business does ebb and flow, and having the resources to still participate and still be alive is so important. I think we forget that sometimes. So.
And that's such a great book. It's an old historical book, and it's such a great read. For those of you who have not read it, I know that recently Gina was telling us about that book, that he had not read it in a while, and he went back to it and recommended for all of us to read it as well. So great advice from all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've so enjoyed spending time with all of you today, and I've learned so much from your backgrounds and your experiences, and I know that our audiences have as well. I can tell you that you're all such inspiration, and I know that you've influenced others to think about taking that leap, to think about taking that risk, Gina, and moving forward and having someone else to help you through the process. So thank you again. I love this quote because it reminds me of all of you. And that's, if you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on. And so I love that, because it's Sheryl Sandberg, and I love that you all took the seat, right? And have now taken off. So thank you again for joining me today and for joining our guests. And don't forget to join us 2 weeks from today. That's going to be on September 15th, and we're going to be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And we've got some Latina powerhouses that are going to be with us, sharing their knowledge with you. And just remember, join our Facebook page. Make sure that you also sign on to our YouTube channel. And always remember that as you climb to the top yourselves, bring other women with you. Thanks again. I really, again, thank you all for joining us. And we will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye-bye, everybody.